Well, with us right now from the United Board is Steve Leonard, and he's got a lot to talk about. Good to see you, Steve.
Good to see you, Ken.
Of course, yesterday evening, United held that special town hall meeting, and the purpose of it was the bylaws. Of course, those ballots are out right now, and those are due back by July 30th, right? They have to be, is it July?
I believe that's correct.
Yeah, so why don't you kind of go over the meeting itself, the purpose of it, and if you want to kind of go over some of the bylaw changes, that's up to you.
Well, we held the town hall last night, and it will be rebroadcast on TV6 on July 22nd at 1 o'clock, Wednesday, July 26th at 2, and Thursday, July 27th at 6. I'm sure there will be a crawl across TV6 coming up, and I just spoke to Brad Hudson, and they're going to put that out in an e-blast today.
Okay, very good.
The town hall was called pretty quickly because we had started getting some feedback from residents that they didn't understand what was happening with the bylaws.
Right.
And some people had some concerns. And so thankfully with Brad's assistance, we were able to put together that town hall yesterday.
Yeah.
And that was arranged last Monday.
Right.
So that got put up really quick.
Yes, it did.
And the staff here at TV6, got that done, and staff at Performing Arts Center. So that was really unique, I believe. That
yeah,
doesn't
it did happen very quick.
It happened very quickly. We had about 107 people there yesterday. And there still seems to be a lot of confusion about what that document really is that everyone had received.
Right.
And Jeff Beaumont, our attorney, started the meeting off and explained it once again. And substantively, there are no changes in the bylaws. People have misread the original bylaws because the way they were written had some conflicting information or viewpoints as people are picking them up. But the main point here is that United as a cooperative is unlike buying a deeded property, whether it's a house or a condominium or such. So we are a stock cooperative, and when you buy here, you're buying a share of stock in the corporation. In addition to that, you execute an occupancy agreement which makes you a member of United. So there's a difference between a stockholder and a member.
Right.
So you buy the stock, you become a member when you occupy your unit, and then after you become a member, if you choose to, now under our current rules, after you have owned your unit or owned your stock for a year, you may then sublease.
Right.
So it's if you're a stockholder and you've become a member and you've lived here for a year, you may sublease the unit.
Right, exactly.
If you're a stockholder but you're not a member, you may not sublease. So what is a member? A member must be 55 years old. Or in the case of a spouse or domestic partner equivalent, 45.
Right.
Or, for example, I believe if you're disabled, like you have a disabled son or daughter, so because that's federal law.
Yeah.
But those are the terms of being a member. So people are confused now because they say, I bought here, I have my unit, and when I pass away, I want my heirs to be able to keep the unit. And if they're not 55, I want them to be able to retain the asset and rent it.
Right.
That was never the original construct. That was never in the original bylaws. None of this has changed. But in previous years, some of the boards have chosen not to enforce the bylaws.
Okay.
So it's similar to this, is what I like to say. In every city, there is a speed limit. If a sign is not posted, there is a speed limit.
Right.
You may not exceed 30 miles an hour. if you drive that street every day and one day you get pulled over because you're doing 40 and you get a ticket, and you go, but I see people driving this every day and they're always driving this and nobody's ever gotten a ticket, what is this? Well, here's the law.
Yes.
And if it hasn't been enforced previously, it's being enforced now. So there was a lot of conversation last night, and we understand people's frustration, but in the final analysis, when you purchase something, whatever it is, as the consumer, it is your responsibility to know what you're purchasing. And just like anything else, there are great doctors and there are average doctors and there are great mechanics and poor mechanics. So if you didn't read all of your documentation when you purchased in United, you may not be aware of what you got involved in. And we can appreciate that, but as a board, we have a fiduciary responsibility to represent the entire membership.
Right.
According to the bylaws.
That's what the bylaws are saying, and I know in general there are other things in the bylaws that have been tweaked. That's not the controversy part right now. Those are just like, dotting the I, crossing the T to be in line with state regulations and things like that.
Well, the Governing Documents Committee worked on this for about a year.
Yes.
And I just got involved in it after my appointment to the board in September. And we even went to 2 meetings a week and 4 hours a meeting.
Right.
3 board members and 3 advisors.
Right.
So we put a lot of time on this, and we struggled over every paragraph, every sentence, every word, and we got it from 40 pages down to 20 because rather than saying, according to the bylaws, the rules, the regulations, this and that and the other, something that was 3 or 4 sentences long, which was repeated throughout the document, we built a definitions page that said governing documents. This is what they are. So now you can just say, in accordance with the governing documents. So you have a few words rather than a few sentences.
Exactly.
So that cut it down, and it's very easy to read, I believe, and everything was vetted by our attorney. I mean, there was no agenda here other than to make it simple and concise so that people could understand it going forward.
Okay. We have about a couple minutes left, so if you want to touch on, I know you have 1 or 2 other things.
So we're still going through budget.
Right.
And it's an interesting process. GRF held their budget meetings recently, and everyone's always concerned, are my assessments going to go up? And I think it's fair to say, yes, you can expect some increase in assessments, and the reason for that will be United does have a couple of major projects that have not really been executed over the number of the years.
Yes.
And that includes water heater replacements, now with the Watts devices.
Right.
That includes the Pushmatic electrical panels. There are like 2,700 of them that need to be done. We're doing 2 a day.
That's a big one.
2 a day. And the waistline remediation. So what we're trying to do as a board is we're trying to get this done more quickly rather than have it be so long.
Yeah.
And staff VMS has added some additional staff to maintenance and repairs so that this can be executed. Everybody wants more service, and we're going to provide that, but it's going to require a little bit of increase in fees.
Okay.
I don't expect it to be very much, and we're still going through it, and people are invited to come to the budget meetings and share their opinions.
Yes, definitely.
Other couple of things real quick from M&C. We've only repaved cul-de-sac 34 this year, and they're doing the final striping now. However, they're going to be doing slurry seal coat work through August 31st.
Okay.
And the cul-de-sacs are 12, 83, 84, 86, 94, 95, 204, 205, 207, 210, and 211. So there are 11 cul-de-sacs that'll get slurry coat. The other thing that I really wanted to touch on was the internet.
Yes.
VMS IT department, Chuck Holland, is going to triple the speed.
Yeah, which is great.
Well, they were hoping to have it done by July. Well, the best laid plans.
Right, exactly.
And what's happened is they have acquired the new lasers, and they're putting them in, and there are 32 different nodes, so they doubled from 16 to 32, the lasers. But what they found out was that they just can't turn them on. It's kind of like a faucet.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're going to have to open them up gradually,
Exactly.
one at a time.
Yes.
And there are several different areas within the community where this has to be done, and they're not all exactly the same. So I checked with Chuck, and he wanted me to say that they anticipate the residents with the newer modems that already have the newer
Right.
DOCSIS 3 modems will be up and running at the new speeds by August 15th.
Okay.
But they can still expect some outages and, some slowness in speed as they work through the individual areas.
All right. Very good. Thank you for coming on. Quick question just before we leave.
Sure.
I just want to make sure that at least on my list, United is still having another governing documents review committee meeting on Monday.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
I wasn't sure if that, since the bylaws, and if that one was still going on, if it was changed or something, but okay. So that's 2 o'clock on Monday. Just
Wonderful.
want to double check.
Absolutely.
Always good to see you.
Good to see you,
Take
sir.
care,
Cheers.
and we will be right back.